I plotted and nearly went through with a school shooting when I was 16. Ask me anything. Thank you for sharing this with us. What brought on the idea and what was the reasoning behind murdering strangers from a place you used to be? I know this sounds bad the way I put it, and I mean no offense. As I replied to the comment below me, I wanted to get back at my school and the people for all the suffering they had caused me. I know how horrible that is, wanting to murder people who most of them didn't do anything wrong, but I realize how awful that is now. It was the best way to deal with it in my state of mind at the time. While planning, did you have an escape plan or was your life going to end that day? Sorry to hear about this, glad you're alright and your dad changed the code. I planned to end my life as soon as I was done. I had thought about running out and shooting at cops, committing suicide by cop, but my plan was to shoot myself. What has your process of recovery been like? Do you feel like you're in a place of stability? It was a slow recovery, but I am most definitely stable now. With the help of some amazing friends and a therapist, I no longer experience depression or homicidal thoughts. I am in an amazing place right now, but the fact I planned this and nearly went through with it haunts me severely. Do you ever worry that homicidal thoughts could re-emerge? Also, do you currently own any guns? If not, any particular reason? Definitely. But they most certainly won't. I'm in the best place I could be in right now, and there is no chance they would come back. How do you feel about the mass shootings occurring in the US? What about current gun laws? It's sickening how many mass shootings have occurred. What's even more sickening is that I was nearly the perpetrator for one. I believe anyone buying a gun should be mentally evaluated and thoroughly background checked. I really don't want a gun falling in the hands of a person like I was. Granted, if guns are banned, people can still always get guns, black market and arms dealers and such. Thank you for your willingness to do this AMA. I'm very glad that you're in a better place. What advice would you give to people who notice a kid going through trying circumstances like yours? Should they try and reach out to them? Definitely. Reach out to them, become friends with them. You never know how much they'll need it. Had someone reached out to me and became friends with me while I was going through this, it very likely could have prevented me ever thinking about it. Do you think your father suspected what you were planning and that's why he changed the lock code on his gun safe? Possibly. I've never asked him. There is no way he could have suspected me or knew I was feeling like that. I was a stone when it came to hiding my emotions. Would you say you didn't see the kids as people? Also, why was that the chosen way to get back at your school? I saw them as people, I just really hated them at the time. In my eyes, there wasn't any other way. I can't stress enough how fucked up I was at the time, and that just felt like the best course of action at the time. I'm not using my fucked up mental state to justify what I was planning at all. I despised who I was back then, but I was suffering so much that was all I could think to do. Were your parents involved in your life, and was your school counselor notified about any of your behavior prior to that day? My mom left when I was 15 and my dad was really never concerned about me or involved. I think the reason he wasn't concerned is because I was a pro at hiding my feelings and emotions. I was a statue. No, I was homeschooled at the time, so I didn't have a counselor. Have you ever told anyone about this plan, like a therapist or your girlfriend, for support, or have you kept it to yourself mostly? I've kept it to myself. I really don't want to freak somebody out by telling them this. I never told my therapist, but I went on antidepressants and antipsychotics for my BPD and bipolar disorder, which I felt helped a lot. I am off of these medications and don't have any problems anymore. Was gonna ask the same thing, but talk with the therapist until you've worked it out enough to talk with your loved one's emo. It could help you work through this in a different way. Go for a double session and have a light activity planned for afterwards if you do also emo. It could be worth it even to do it on the 20th. I hope you find what you need. It's out there. There's a reason you're still out here. Maybe even to help others in similar situations. You've got this. I hope this isn't too sensitive a question, but before you planned on going through with it, did you consider how the families of the victims might have felt? Did you consider how your dad would have felt? Did you feel remorse at all? I didn't consider it at the time. I was in a kind of fugue state. When my dad changed the passcode, that kind of snapped me back to reality, and I spent the whole day thinking and realized I'd be hurting people who most of them hadn't wronged me and their families. While a handful of people there bullied me and picked on me, most of them hadn't done anything wrong, and I realized it that day. The part about my dad goes for what I said too. I realized how shitty it would be for him that day. I absolutely would have felt remorse. I am not a sociopath. My plan was, if after shooting someone and I felt bad, I would just kill myself and not kill any others. I didn't want to live anyways, and I felt that if I felt guilt from killing one person, that was all the more excuse to kill myself. When I was in high school, I was very alienated and depressed. Like there was me, and then everyone else in the world on the other side of a window. In fact, those feelings would return sometimes in the years after. But I never wanted to hurt anyone, and I had the self-awareness to understand it was my problem. With respect, how does it go from that to homicide? Not to be rude, but I've always struggled to understand. And I've always wanted the opportunity to ask. Also, is Reddit helpful in dealing with depression and anxiety, since so many Redditors complain about these things? Thank you. I had been severely damaged prior to all of this. This involved my mom abandoning me when I was 15 and other stuff that I don't feel comfortable talking about. My mental state was totally fucked up, and being bullied and alienated didn't help at all. At the time I was just blaming the school, but now I realize that was not the only culprit for the way I felt. At the time I felt I had been portrayed as weak and meek, and I really wanted to get back at my school for all the pain it had caused me and overpower the people whom had overpowered me. To be clear, I realize how awful that is now. I don't browse Reddit much, just when I'm bored to look at memes, but occasionally I'll meet someone similar to me and I'll often shoot them a message and have a conversation with them. Thank you for watching the video. If you're new, please be sure to subscribe, like and turn on post notifications so you never miss an upload. Post your own stories in the comments down below.